When you walked into a hockey rink for the first time, you probably felt like everyone else received a handbook that you somehow missed. Everyone seems to know where to go, what to wear, when to show up, what all the hockey terms mean, how tryouts work, how teams are selected, how tournaments work, how locker rooms work, and somehow no one explains any of it. The truth is, youth hockey has a culture all its own. It's not just a sport, it's a community, a language, a lifestyle. And for families who didn't grow up in hockey, it can feel incredibly confusing. So today we're going to explain hockey youth culture, the good, the weird, the confusing. Because hockey makes a lot more sense once you understand the culture surrounding it. One of the first things new families notice is that hockey feels different from any other youth sport. Hockey often becomes a major part of family life. Early mornings, late nights, weekend tournaments, road trips, hotel stays, hours spent at the rink. And over time, something happens. The rink becomes a second home. The families become familiar faces. The players grow up together. Many hockey friendships last for years, sometimes decades. That's one of the best parts of hockey culture, the relationships. People often stay in hockey because of the community long after the games are over. You'll notice in hockey that the rink is its own world. Walk into a rink and you'll quickly realize it operates differently than most places. There are unwritten rules, unwritten expectations, and customs no one explains. For example, most families arrive early. The players get dressed together. The locker room becomes an important part of team culture. Players joke together, celebrate together, support each other, and sometimes learn some of life's biggest lessons there. Parents also develop their own rink culture. Coffee in hand, standing by the glass, talking in the lobby, watching games together. You'll see the same families week after week, and eventually you'll realize you're no longer visiting the rink, you're part of it. One reason hockey feels intimidating is the language. People throw around terms like forecheck, neutral zone, cycle, power play, penalty kill, offsides, edges, icing. And new families often sit there thinking, I have absolutely no idea what any of that means. And that's normal. Nobody is born knowing hockey language. Even hockey experts started exactly where you are. The culture sometimes forgets that. Longtime hockey people often assume everyone understands the terminology. The good news? You don't need to learn it all at once. Most hockey knowledge comes from exposure. You watch, you ask questions, you learn a little at a time, and eventually it starts making sense. Let's talk about something people notice immediately: hockey parents. Sometimes hockey families get a reputation, and honestly, sometimes it's deserved. Hockey requires a tremendous investment of time, money, travel, energy, and emotion. Parents spend countless hours supporting their players, and because of that investment, emotions can run high. But here's something people often miss: the vast majority of hockey parents are doing the same thing. They're trying to help their child succeed, trying to help them have fun, trying to create opportunities. Most hockey parents are incredibly supportive. You simply notice the loud exceptions more than the quiet majority. The best hockey cultures aren't built by perfect parents. They're built by parents who remember why their kids started playing in the first place. If you've never experienced a hockey tournament weekend, you're in for an adventure. Hotels full of hockey families, kids running between rooms, parents gathering in lobbies. Entire weekends centered around the rink. Tournaments create some of the strongest memories in youth hockey. Players bond, families bond, teams develop identities. Some of the best stories happen away from the ice. But tournaments can also create pressure. Families start focusing heavily on wins and losses, and sometimes forget why youth sports exist. Years later, most players don't remember the scores. They remember teammates, road trips, locker room moments, the fun, the friendships. That's what lasts. Despite its flaws, youth hockey culture has some incredible strengths. Hockey teaches responsibility, resilience, accountability, teamwork, and perseverance. Players learn how to show up when they're tired, how to handle disappointment, how to support teammates, how to recover from mistakes, a lot, and perhaps most importantly, how to be part of something bigger than themselves. Many former players will tell you the life lessons stayed long after the hockey ended. That's one of the greatest gifts hockey can provide. But no culture is perfect. Youth hockey still struggles with excessive pressure, early specialization, comparison, burnout, and politics. And sometimes forgetting that kids are still kids. Adults can become so focused on development that they lose sight of enjoyment, so focused on success that they forget growth, so focused on outcomes that they miss the experience. The healthiest hockey cultures understand something important. The goal isn't raising better hockey players, it's helping young people develop through hockey. That's a very different goal, and it leads to very different decisions. If you're new to hockey, here's what I want you to know. You don't need to understand everything immediately. You don't need to know all the rules. You don't need to speak hockey fluently. You don't need to fit into some hockey stereotype. You belong here. Learn gradually, find people who help, and enjoy the experience. Because beneath all the confusing terminology, tournaments, trials, and traditions, youth hockey is really about people: the players, the families, the coaches, the relationships, the lessons, and the memories. That's the real culture, and that's the part worth preserving. If you're a hockey parent, coach, or player, I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing about hockey culture that surprised you when you first got involved? Leave it in the comments. And if you're trying to understand hockey without feeling overwhelmed, subscribe to the Hockey Village, because learning the game is important, but understanding the culture around it can make the journey a whole lot easier.